Hi everyone, Chris from Stone Age Gamer here. This is the GBros wireless adapter for Switch and Windows. Now if you're like me, you've probably seen this thing around the internet and thought to yourself, what exactly does this little purple oval do? Well, if you've ever owned a NES or Super NES Classic Edition, or the Nintendo Wii, or maybe you're just a really big fan of the Gamecube controller, turns out it does quite a lot. Let's take a look. Alright, here it is. This is the GBros wireless adapter for Switch and Windows, and as you can see, it is a tiny little guy. Here's a Wii remote for comparison as far as size goes. It's also approximately the same weight. So what we have here is this button synchronizes with your system. This switches between Switch functionality and Windows functionality. So the light tells you it's on. This works as your home button, and this takes photos on the Switch. Here's where you're plugging your controllers, and this is where the 2 AA batteries go, because this runs on 2 AA batteries. It has an auto shut-off function, and it's quite nice. So the question is, what exactly does this do? Well, the reason I showed it off next to a Wii remote is because it actually works really similar to the way a Wii remote did. When you wanted to play games on your Nintendo Wii, you would either use the Wii remote or turn it sideways, or you would plug things into here. You'd plug in your nunchuck, but if you had a lot of virtual console games, you would plug in a classic controller down to the bottom here. And this would kind of sit next to you and be its own little wireless communication device between it and the system. And that's basically how this works, except it does with the Nintendo Switch. So let's take a look at some of the cool things that we can do with this. Here is my Switch right here. And I am going to go ahead and load up Super Mario 3D All-Stars, because this is kind of an important one to show off when using the Nintendo GameCube controller. Haha, everybody loves the GameCube controller. It's one of the coolest controllers ever made, and this will allow you to use it with your Switch. So you plug this sucker in right here, and mine's already connected, so if you can use the home button right here to get back to the home button. If you want to sync yours in the first place, you just go to the controller settings, change grip and order, and you use the sync button here. It'll sync up. It's a very simple process. But while we're here, I do want to show you one thing that is important to note. This is displaying a Pro Controller, because this basically tells your Switch it's using a Pro Controller. So this isn't going to function like the GameCube controller with the GameCube adapter that's available for the Switch, which you're going to see here when we play Super Mario Sunshine. Analog stick. Anyway, here we are in Super Mario Sunshine. I'm going to boot this sucker right up, and you'll see that it functions with very little in the way of button lag. In fact, there's none at all, none that I can perceive. Just start your game, and it works pretty much exactly like you'd expect it to. It works pretty much like it did before they patched it to have official GameCube controller support. Just running around, the trigger button shoots your water, and that is the long and the short of it. That is GameCube controller running on the Switch with this one little wireless dongle here. So, like we did a second ago, we're going to hit the home button, and we're going to go back to our home screen, and now we're going to switch to a different game. So, one of my favorite things that this does is if you happened to have the Nintendo NES Classic Edition, you got a couple of these controllers, and they're hysterically short wires that are basically render the whole thing's worthless, right? Who's going to play this close to their HD TV? It's absurd. But this is a legitimate Nintendo NES controller right here. A brand new one at that. So wouldn't it be great to have some way to actually use it? Well, fortunately, that's what this guy does. You plug this sucker in right on the side, and now we are using the classic NES Edition controller to control our system here. Isn't that something cool? And you stick this next to you, and it works wirelessly. So we want to play NES games the way nature intended. We can just jump right in here. And we're going to play a little Blaster Master, because that's how we do things here. And there you go. We're playing Blaster Master with an NES controller, more or less wirelessly. There is still technically a wire, and it's no button lag that I can perceive at all whatsoever, and it's just doing its thing, which is really quite nice. And that's pretty cool on its own, but like I said, it also works with other controllers, like my favorite controller of all time, This Super Nintendo controller, the Super NES Classic Edition, came with this little guy here, and it works just the same way. This is the original Wii Classic Pro Controller. I love this thing, and this is just about the coolest way to play Switch games. Because it has all the functionality, all the comfort of the regular Pro Controller, except it's also, not it doesn't have that weird D-pad, so you can do all the cool stuff that you can do in these games. Wow, I've already forgotten how to play this, and I just beat it earlier today. What's wrong with me? But anyway, that's really the long and the short of it. This thing will work with the Pro Controller, the regular classic controller for the Wii. It will work with the Super NES Classic Edition controller. It'll work with the Gamecube controller. It'll work with the NES controller that I put around here somewhere. It'll work with all these controllers and let you control your Switch with them. It's just that awesome. The GBros adapter is available now from StoneAgeGamer.com. It works for Nintendo Switch and Windows PC, and it comes in this snazzy purple color. Thanks for watching, and keep playing games.